we're going to be building the major facade components of the young Frankenstein castle. And that's going to live on our backing panel here, which is going to be in our faux cathedral window, which also doubles up as a lightning detector. I'm Rachel DeBarros, and thanks for watching Gearhead Diva. I went ahead and blew up the best image I could find of this castle. Now, it is the same castle, or very, very similar, that was used in the old black and white Frankenstein, which young Frankenstein is also black and white, but you know what I mean. These are just a few of the facade components. And what I don't want to do is build the entire castle, like the back walls, and have like a rectangular looking thing jutting out of this board, because then our entire project hanging on the wall is really gonna jut out and our cathedral window is just gonna be like, hello, here's our castle Frankenstein. The main objective for today is to build this front facing facade. And I was only able to trace, obviously, the facades that we can see. So once we start gluing things together, there are going to be some gaping holes that we're going to try and figure out. I had to go to the dollar store anyways, so check out what I found. $1 foam board core. So I figured, you know what? Let's start with this foam board and see how that works. We can always, fix it later. I'm thinking for the backside, I'm going to leave the black on because when I put LEDs, maybe the black will kind of diffuse it in a more natural way, like a dark castle versus the white, which is like happy and bright, and Frankenstein's not all about that at all. So I'm going to start by cutting just the tower. I think I'm going to leave the roofs for last because I think we're going to do them out of cardboard or even hard cardstock paper and then put our shingles on that. Way much easier. Let us cut, people. And then if this template works out, then I make it available, so everyone can try and recreate this or make their own changes and say, hey, this is how I did it differently, and probably better than I did. And so we have our little piece there. I'm going to try and knock that window out. Oh, it's almost knockable. It's like a loose tooth. It's like a little loose tooth there. Let's see. Here we go, our little window there, and then the black paneling. And one of the nice thing of keeping the black paneling is that you remember which side is which, because it's really easy to start getting things flipped around once you start having a lot of these pieces here. And they should theoretically go together like that. And, see, there's a big old gap there. So this is the side I have to try and miter. So here we go. I hear it going through the not concrete. Oh my gosh, the cardboard. So that's already looking pretty good. We're not building the entire castle. We're just kind of building this quarter facade, and we're going to get these major components put together to figure out what it is we're missing, because that picture doesn't show the entire castle. And this stuff's not just going to, float. We got to anchor it, somehow. But we are going to age these surfaces before we, get them glued together using just a little bit of our tin foil. I'm just going to start to roll it. So you can already see here, it's got dimples in it. So it's going to look more like stone than this, really styrofoamy looking thing. Let's put some like little miniature bricks. Yeah. So how am I going to do that? And all I'm using is a mechanical pencil with no lead at the end. Look at that. It's just blunt. If we were building a very close-up detailed castle, we'd make these grooves a lot deeper. But when you're looking at something from a distance, it looks kind of fuzzy. So as long as we have some rock textures going in, we see hints of lines and bricks and castle stone. You can see, this section here is kind of slanted this way, and this section here is slanted that way. So that way, when we, the pieces are like, run away. When we slant them like this, see, it gives you that 3D effect even more so. Oh, I just scratched the heck out of it, but you know what? That might end up looking cool. Sometimes doing these, you think like, oh, it's horrible, I totally screwed it up. And then when you put paint on it, it's like, wow, that totally added to the disgusting look of it, especially if you're going to something that's just like, or going for something that's derelict, falling apart, kind of like that Castle Frankenstein. Also, it hasn't had its regular maintenance, obviously. Can't talk today. Maintenance. Because this castle is so in the distance, we don't have to go nuts. And I'm keeping the lines close together, but not as close together as I did here. See, they're a tiny bit further apart because this is closest to us. And I'm not too worried about my lines being straight. It got a little fat over here. So here I'm adding my verticals where the bricks would be. And I guess they're castle stones, but they would be laid in a very similar manner, I think. Imperfect blunt instruments is the way to go. And that's kind of how we're going to do our cliffing. We're going to stab it with a knife, like murder style, stabbing with a knife, you know, and that'll be another day. That'll be just a stream in and of itself. Oh, I ripped that. Oh, darn. It'll be crumbling rocks. Crumbling rocks. Yes, I didn't rip it. Just like Bob Ross says, there's no mistakes. There's just happy little surprises. That's what he called it. Happy little surprises. So as we work our way down, the bricks are getting a little bit bigger. Because Castle Frankenstein is tall, when you're looking up at a tall building, you see less detail at the top because it's so far away from you. But you see all the details towards the bottom of the castle. Many of you were very adamant about picking Frankenstein, and it's got to be young Frankenstein. Don't come to me with that other Frankensteins. And so yes, young Frankenstein is one of my favorites. Me, I'm a process person. It's one of the reasons I like watching makers live, because you see all the steps, you see the mistakes, although they make far fewer of them than I do. But I think some of the cool mistakes that I've whoopsed on ended up being some very cool builds. You also get an idea for the amount of time, you know, these things take and an appreciation. Sometimes I see these huge videos or huge projects and the video is like 5 minutes. I'm like, Now, obviously it didn't take 5 minutes, but it almost leads you to believe that it's a quick and snappy project. We're going to have our roof line here coming out, and it's going to hit here, and then the roof goes like that. Ow. It's still hot. We should almost like make it go over here and have it be further up like that, like it's coming out at you. So it's not just like a flat pane with just a couple perspective building things. See that gap? We just have to come out with a piece for that gap. So I preemptively cut this, kind of figuring that was going to be the case. Like, look at me, people. I did good. This will be like a nice little Castle Frankenstein. He's supposed to be in the distance, not like we live right next door to Castle Frankenstein to where we can see everything that's going on in that castle. You know, it's secretive. Let me get some of this excess glue on the edge here and then fold it over. I'll be glued to Castle Frankenstein. Listen, there's worse things to be glued to. I'm just gonna hang out here for a bit. Party time. Excellent. And there we go. We have like the majority of our castle done, minus all the amazing details. So majority is a aspiring word to use. The majority of this is done. It makes me feel good. I think that's pretty in place. Guys, I think we made great progress. I mean, check out this perspective. I think it's looking pretty good here. Little Frankenstein's castle. It's got no roof, you know, but it does make it easier for the lightning to get in, right? The goal was to get our main structure kind of done, see if that perspective even works. I think we did a killer job together. And I got foam static all over me. It's like gluing on me.